Okay, so steps 5 to 14 of the build. We start with the electronics, and I've already done the servo. So the next few steps are about getting the servo linkages ready, and then we move on to actually building the chassis, front uprights, steering. There's some stuff about suspension in here. And that is pretty much what the B parts bag does. So it's all unpacked over here, kind of normal screws and odds and ends, some more interesting bits up here. You can see the suspension springs, some more of the kind of drivetrain, I guess. Now, these shocks aren't actually oil shocks, and what I've got here are kind of some tubes. Quite hard, it's quite hard rubber, quite thick, and you basically cut this to different lengths, and this is what they compress, and this is how the suspension on these works. So they're not pure friction shocks, which I think are just done off springs, which is stuff like, I think the original Grasshopper, the Lunchbox, they have just shocks operating off springs. They're not oil dampers like the Monster Beetle or the Blitzer Beetle. They've got these rubber inserts, and the only other time I've come across these is with the Escort, the Escort Cosworth rally car, which I've already built or reconditioned. So anyway, that's what's interesting about the shocks, and I'm just going to crack on, and at an interesting point I'll do another update. Okay, alright, so we're up to step 12 is the next step, which we'll look at in a minute. But what I've built, this is the main part of the chassis, I guess. You can see the servo mounted in there upside down. Here's the steering and the front uprights. It's kind of a big metal bar at the front to protect it, I guess, from impact. The suspension is going to be mounted on here, and I guess somehow, that's the wheelie bar, all this is going to connect together to become the chassis. There was a little correction for step 11 or step 9 in there, which I totally forgot about. It's for step 11 actually, which I totally forgot about, and mounted everything backwards, so I've actually had to spend a load of time taking it all apart in the end. But anyway, right, step 12. So I mentioned about the the suspension. Now these aren't oil filled shocks. They're kind of they've got these rubber inserts, and you get these rubber tubes, and then you essentially cut them down to size, and those rubber tubes become the inserts for the suspension, and that's what gives the resistance. So I guess they're quite stiff, but they're better than just normal shocks working off the springs, I guess. Probably an upgradable part if you wanted oil filled shocks. Haven't even thought about that yet, but I'm going to go ahead and build these next and mount them on.